Hi everyone, it's Renee with Delaney Jane Cards. Welcome back to my channel. Today I have my day 5 Unity Growing in Unity guest project. It's day 5. And I've been promising you all week that I would use the stamp that I actually won when Delaney was in the hospital. I won this stamp set, or this stamp, I want to say it was probably like the 29th of October 2013. It wasn't the last day she was alive, and it wasn't the first day she was alive. So I'm gonna say it was probably right around the 29th. I did get it in the mail the day that we buried her, so that's also another thing that I value about this stamp. This is kind of one of those. The stamp has a lot of memories. So I stamped this on some Nina 80-pound cardstock, classic crest cardstock, and now I'm going to paper piece. If you've been in my channel before, you know that paper piecing is one of my kind of absolute favorite techniques. You can add so much character to any image by adding a piece of pattern paper, and I will show you all of that. So this stamp is, I was just looking it up so that I could link it below. But it was released in July of 2013, and I won it in October of 2013. It's been around a while. This is the Fashionista line, and this is called Jo. I don't know if it's short for Josephine or Joanne or what it's short for, but it's Jo, the Fashionista. So here, this is just regular Nina cardstock. I left this in so I could show you. Actually took this little video clip just to show you. I seen Catherine Kelly use alcohol inks on regular cardstock a few videos back, and I was like, I cannot believe that I have not thought of that, because really what it is just alcohol ink, which is what's in our alcohol markers, just in a bottle. And so I wanted to kind of play with it and see how it worked on Nina cardstock. It definitely doesn't flow like it does on Yupo or anything, but you can use it. Here are the 3 little pieces that I'm going to paper piece, and I'm just going to show you the shading of one of them. This is the t-shirt or tank top, and I pulled these pieces of paper out of my scrap bin, but I know that this one came out of a Schimmel, one of the Schimmel packs. I can't tell you which one it is right now, but I know Schimmel. This is from her pattern paper. I can do that sometimes. Like I see the pattern paper and I know where it came from. So here I'm just using some grays, and I do this normally. I shade my pieces before I cut them out. So I did all the pieces. You just didn't need to see all that. So I did all the pieces. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to color Jo here. Now she is, I don't know if she is an artist, if she is an activist, if she is a demonstrator, if she is a hoodlum. I don't know. But what I can tell you is she is spray painting some stuff. This girl, it's all she ever does. I swear, every time I stamp it, she's just spray painting some stuff. So the last time I did this Growing in Unity week was in October, which was super interesting for me. So it fell on Delaney's birthday, which is October 22nd, and I made her a birthday card with this Jo. And I had stamped her, and then I had die cut the word happy birthday, and I used some glossy accents, Nouveau drops, to make it look like drippy spray paint. It was so much fun, and I love that every time I pull the stamp out, I can try to do something a little bit different, even though this stamp could carry a card. Like, that is a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 piece of cardstock there, and it takes up quite a bit of it. So you could definitely carry off an entire card front with just this stamp alone. In her skin tone here, I did use some Ease earth tone markers. I did the 15 and 13 are my deepest, darkest, but then I did add a BB00 to kind of gray that out in the shadows. See me put that in there, and I'll bring this all the way out to an E11 just gives a really good highlight to the skin tone, and that BB gives a very good grade shadow, which looks a little more natural. That is something that I picked up in the thousands of hours of YouTube videos that I have watched, watching the fabulous Sandy Allnock do the coloring that I wish I could do that well. I have learned so much from her videos, and if you are looking to learn to color, I would highly recommend that you go to her channel and watch her color. I guess if I was to recommend it appropriately, I would say go back and watch her videos from 2013, 2014, and 2015. It's going to give you a very good place to start. She is an artist and a colorist, but since then, her coloring has changed so much, and she has gotten so much better at it that I feel like it would be intimidating to just start watching her where she is now. So I say go back and watch some of her older videos, or you watch my videos. They're probably where she was way back then. Actually, probably not. These are probably way worse. So this is probably a better place to start before you go look at her videos. Anyway, I digress. I'm just coloring Jo up here. I did some fun hair. It went from yellow to pink, and then I'm going to take care of the brick wall. I do need to kind of shadow around her. I'm not so worried about the areas that are up against the clothes that I'm going to paper piece, like the hat and the t-shirt and the little shorts. I'm not really sure, not really worried about my marker bleeding or, going inside the lines of those. But for everything else, I'm being a little bit more careful to just kind of add it around the edge. I'm also going to do each of the lines on the brick wall. It's going to help add some dimension to this very flat image. You can already see here where I have the shadow put in. You can see how she's already starting to kind of step away from the wall just a little bit. It's always kind of fun to see something like this come together. I will say that although I love to color and I still have a lot to learn and I still need to practice lots and lots, sometimes when I'm done with a card coloring anything, sometimes I look at that and I'm like, I can't believe that I actually colored that. Like, I can't believe I did that. My skills have gotten good enough that came out of me. So you can do it. You can do it. You can start. I watched, that was a lot of I didn't, but I watched coloring videos for like 8 months straight before I even got Copics. I struggled with sleeping after Delaney passed away, and would lay awake at night and kind of, make everything my fault and kind of lay the blame for everything that had happened with her onto my chest, which I'm sure that had I done so many things differently, that the outcome would have been different, but it would have taken everybody else doing something different too. And I feel like it doesn't work that way. You can't just blame yourself all the time. But I didn't know that then. I did not know that. I was just stuck in a grief circle, and it kept me from sleeping. And so I spent a lot of time watching coloring videos before I owned any Copic markers. On top of the Jo Fashionista set, I also pulled out this set. It's called Frankly Said. It's got some pretty funny, blunt sentiments in it, and it has these kind of little fun shapes too, like a heart sun and some arrows. I just thought they would be really interesting images to put on this brick wall, like she had painted them on the brick wall. And because, I could have just colored them, and that would have been fine. But because of the way spray paint works and it splatters and it kind of bleeds, unless you're really, really good at it, and I know there are people that are really good at it, but Jo is not. So I thought, in order to kind of get that idea of spray paint, that I would use those alcohol inks on here. So first I stamped my images using ink on 3 blackout ink because I knew that was Copic safe, so I figured it would be alcohol friendly. Alcohol, well, not like drinking alcohol, alcohol ink friendly. Because those are just basically alcohol inks. So here I'm just dropping a little bit of the blender solution down, and then I'm going to just drop in a little bit of color. It just kind of bleeds really neatly in the fibers of the paper. Something that, like I said, I had not even thought of until I seen Catherine Kelly do it, and then I was like, hey, I can't believe that I have not even ever thought of that. That's why I showed this close up, because I wanted you to see just how it actually does work. And it was just actually kind of really neat that it bled like that, and it definitely looks like she was struggling with the spray can, and the yellow heart definitely looks like she is in the middle of spraying it. So I just thought that it would add a little bit additional interest to this card. Now, if you've been watching my videos all week, you'll know that I have tried several different techniques this week, and I'm going to kind of pull in bits and pieces of all of the techniques into this card because, well, this is the final card for the week, the final card for my Growing in Unity guest spot. This is Unity has quite the place in my heart. Not only have I watched them grow as a company, but I have watched the people that work at the company and own the company grow and change and go through life, situations. And even though I don't know them personally, I feel like I have been following them all long enough to feel like I know them. And so this Growing in Unity thing is kind of a special thing for me. I get very excited that I get the opportunity. When I get the opportunity to do it, I just feel like sharing Unity in general, the Unity stamps, the Unity company, is the least I can do. They're a small family-owned company. They cook their stamps to order. Nothing retires out of there. It's really kind of cool. Like this stamp, this Jo stamp, she's from July 2013, and it's July 2020, and you can find it in the store. So here I didn't show you all the pieces, but I fussy cut all of those pieces of clothing out, and I did run along the outside edge with a water-based marker, and I was showing you there that I do it from the back just in case I slip and I don't color on my image. And then I wanted to color her belt. When I fussy cut out her shorts, I went up and around each of the belt loops so that I didn't have to cut out a belt. It just felt like it was the easiest thing to do there. So here I'm just putting the hat on. I'm going to get her dressed because it actually makes the image come to life. It is like one of the coolest things. These shorts have a really cool pattern. They are also from my scrap bin. All the pieces that I used are from my scrap bin. The shorts, that is from a pack that I got at Michael's. It's actually like thin paper. It's got like different animal prints and stuff in it, and it had that like check. And then there's the shimmel paper for her shirt, and then a piece of paper from another American Crafts pad that is for her hat. So here I seen that the shadow that's around her wasn't blended out very well, so I blended it out just a little bit. Sometimes you have to let alcohol inks dry, Copic markers and or alcohol inks, so you can see where you're at with the blending, and you can always go back. Then I also needed to color the spray paint cans because I hadn't decided what colors I was going to use before I did the colors, so I didn't want to like color them early and then be like, well, now this can is green and now I have pink on the thing. So I do end up with green on there too, but anyway, that's why I filled in the can just a little bit later. And the one I colored yellow because it's spray painting yellow, and the other one is pink. And I could have been done with this card and just put a sentiment on the inside, but I decided I wanted a sentiment on the outside. Now, all of Unity stamps are red rubber. They did do some digital images during this whole pandemic, but they are making red rubber stamps. So sometimes they're hard to line up. And one of the tricks that I use here is to just use a piece of acetate. I lay it over my card. That way I can see where everything lines up. And I just kind of go back and forth here and make sure that I get everything straight. It's way easier to do it this way than it used to be with the old Stamp-A-Majig and stamp things. It just is easier. So, and the acetate makes it so nice you can just wipe it right off. So I am going to heat emboss this. I used my Scrap Perfect embossing bag. I have found that to be the best embossing bag ever. I will have that linked below just because I can tell you where to find it. I found that the one with the brush kind of ended up scratching my stuff after a while and didn't put enough powder down. And then the one without the little handle, it's just a little bag. I just don't like the way it feels in my fingers. I think it does a good job. I just, for some reason, struggle with it. So here I did use black embossing powder and black ink. Some of these letters kind of overlap a little bit on that paper piecing, and I wanted to make sure that if my black embossing powder skipped at all, then it would have black ink underneath, and you wouldn't be able to really see it. So I did heat emboss that, and then I wiped off all that powder, and I still could have been done. It's looking really cool. It's very much looks like collage, even though it's one layer. Looks like a collage, like the card I shared on Monday. And I added a little bit of a shadow, which I shared on Tuesday. And then for Wednesday's card, what did I do on Wednesday? For Wednesday's card, I did the watercolor with the drop shadow and the really loose background. And here I'm kind of piecing in this background with this stencil. The stencils that I used for this card are from a Colorful Life Designs. They're fantastic. So I ink blended on that green, and then I was like, okay, it's looking favorable here, that this is a really good quality card, and I'm very proud of it. So I decided to stick it onto this piece of black cardstock to give it a little bit of a frame, and then it still looked kind of boring. I had done all these things, and it was still kind of like, well, it looks kind of boring. I think some of it has to do with its one layer, and I like simpler cards, but usually there's at least a layer in my cards, like there's at least something stuck on them, a sequin or something, and this had nothing. So I pulled out another stencil from a Colorful Life Designs, and this is it's called the Big Blot, I think. It's super fun, and it's got all these little tiny blots all over it, like a big splatter. So I just kind of played with this and put splatters around my card front here, like she was really struggling with that spray paint. And it made the kind of really messy spray paint up at the top with the arrows. It made it look so much better, like it just blended in better. Let's see. And then what did I share for Thursday was the Cure Girls, and those were all women. And I have this beautiful lady on my card, so that tied her in. Oh, I found this Wink of Stella this week. It has been hanging out in my craft room for a while. Usually I use a Spectrum Noir, but I have a Wink of Stella that I forgot, so I used that. It's got a really fine tip on it too, so it was nice to get in them small places. And then I added this to a card base. I went overboard with the adhesive, but I didn't want it going anywhere. I thought it was, I don't know if I thought she was going to run off or what was going on, but I put plenty of adhesive. And then I just kind of used the brushes that I had and wiped the ink that was on the stencil through the stencil using that brush. And so I didn't need to add any extra ink to get the stenciling. And then I decided to use the same kind of arrow and sun or heart or whatever stamps. I stamped those on the inside using some Hero Arts Tide Pool ink. I just thought it went very well with the colors. And then I had a smudge, so I used the white eraser. That's a Jen Vina trick she told me one time, and I have not forgotten. Every time I have to do that, I think, thank you, Jen. That is a very useful tip. So here's my card for today. Make sure you leave a comment below. Also visit my coordinating blog post and leave a comment there. And then if you haven't yet, go back and comment on all of those coordinating blog posts and coordinating videos for the week to increase your chances of winning some amazing Unity prizes. And as I always say, thank you for stopping by and give cards generously. Bye.